and pain. I like sunshine and rain. Don't really like rain, but guess what? I like you. And happy Tuesday Eve. Tasty, 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 tasty Tuesdays. Or is it still $2 Tuesdays? Like I always say, if somebody knows about somebody having $2 Tuesdays, let me know. I got you on a drink. But anyway, let's talk about it. Joy and pain. Sunshine and rain. The great Frankie Beverly and Maze. The late great Frankie Beverly and Maze. The group had that song, and then for those who you know, was remade and redone and was a huge hit by DJ Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock in the 80s. And it was also a hit. But let's talk about it, because for all of you know, you watched yesterday. And if you didn't watch yesterday, please go back and watch yesterday. Where I kind of went off on a little rant, a necessary rant, because sometimes for all of us, we need to clear our throat. And I was trying to show we could clear our throat and still be, for the most part, respectful. Still, for the most part, keep some anonymity as far as who maybe some of the people we were talking about. But I think about it, and I know I say to people, who regularly follow and watch, and I talk about the car accident that I had last year. And one of the big things about it is that, the doctor says it's a year and a half injury. It was a broken hip, by the way. Year and a half injury. And, just like with anything, some days I wake up, I feel great. Some other days I wake up, I feel not so great. But either way, I wake up. And I was telling somebody the other night, and I said, you know what? The one thing I'm glad of, because a lot of people don't get this opportunity, is to survive after a car crash. Not only survive, but maintain all of my limbs, maintain the ability to walk, maintain the ability to talk, because although I had my seatbelt on, all the airbags and everything came out, and I still could have hit my head on something. They tested me. I didn't have a concussion. But anything can happen to you when you are at the mercy of another car barreling towards you. And the only thing you can kind of do is brace yourself and hope for the best, right? So pain. It was a lot of pain. A lot of pain. And it was so much pain I couldn't even stand up on my own. I felt like a little kid. I was laying out in the middle of Allegheny Avenue, and I put it out because I did something where I went back for the first time and actually saw it. So, I'm laying out in the middle of Allegheny Ave, and I know that this isn't good because I can't move my leg. I can only move one side of my body. I can't even get myself off the ground. So when the EMTs came, they said, hey, bud, how you feeling? How you doing? Do you think you can help us out at all? And, I'm bleeding at the top of my head from the airbag deploying. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I can't do anything. And so, they helped me out. It's like a few of them put me on there. The pain was excruciating. It was so bad to the point where it was almost like I didn't even feel pain. Never had pain feel that bad where you don't feel the pain until you actually start moving again. So get to the hospital, waiting on the stretcher for about an hour and a half before I was sent off to have x-rays and everything like that. And I'm not going to bore you with the rest of that. But what I will say is that it was intense pain. It was an excruciating process just to get my bone back in place before the surgery. Then after the surgery, my one leg, which was my driving leg, right, was 2 times the size of my other leg. So, I'm trying to maneuver and do stuff. I'm sitting in the hospital. And I'm just like, wow. And like I said, not to go too much deeper into it, but there was a lot of pain. But as time went on and I started to realize how fortunate I was to still have a chance to be here on earth, to still have a chance to talk to my kids, talk to my friends, talk to my family, and do different things, I started experiencing more of a different kind of joy. I started experiencing a joy that made me feel that not only could I accomplish other things that maybe I wouldn't have accomplished before, like I've said before, even starting doing this, that I had put off for at least 2 or 3 years. Being worried or skeptical about doing some other things, but said, you know what? Why not go do it? And I'm just here today to say it shouldn't and it doesn't have to take a traumatic incident for you or even me now going forward to have to inspire us to enjoy the joy of life. To be able to say, hey, look, you know what? I've always thought about doing that. Let me go out and do it. Let me have some joy in my life because unfortunately, we are going to experience a lot of pain. Physical, mental, emotional, just like what you saw me going through yesterday. I'm always in a little pain depending on which time of day it is, but not too bad. But yesterday, I was going through some emotional pain. I was going through some mental pain. But the thing I always know is that eventually I'll be able to smile again. And so guess what I was able to do probably a few hours after doing the pod yesterday is that I was able to smile. And I was able to smile because I understand that there can't be any joy without pain because you wouldn't know the difference. You couldn't understand the difference. Like, we go through stuff and of course, we're all spoiled in our own right? Because we think that we know the answers and we know how to do everything just right? And the things we don't know how to do, we just be like, and stay away from. But when we start talking, we always know how to do this person's job or that person needs to be doing that better. Oh, she should be ashamed of herself and what she doing with her kids. Oh, he need to do such and such and such. We do a lot of finger pointing, right? And a lot of times, there's really no joy in that. It's just us pointing out somebody else's pain. Because see, a lot of times, just like me yesterday, it's easy to point out what you don't like about somebody else. It's easy to point out blame. It's easier to, for me at times and a lot of other people, to lash out and say things when you are hurt or when you feel pain. Because outside of hurting somebody, pain is an anger or emotions. Anger is an emotion that is very hard to deal with unless you really train yourself how to deal with it. So for me, a lot of times I just talk it out. And I say certain things and certain people who I confide in. And hopefully you have somebody that you can confide in and talk to. And once again, it's the reason why I do this is because hopefully, somebody will take something out of it and say, hey, you know what, man, that was me at one point. That was me, man. Like I was going through a lot of pain. And once again, it might not be physical pain, but I was going through a lot of emotional pain. I was going through a divorce. I was going through a bad breakup. And like a lot of times people, and I know it's some women who watch this, but a lot of times people really don't understand from a man's perspective how it feels to have a dissolving of your family. You don't know how much of a failure it makes you feel like. You don't realize how much pain is in that. Because it's not natural. It's not natural to have kids and just be like, all right, peace, man. All right, mi amiga. See you later. And you both go your separate ways. That's not natural. That's not what it was meant to be. Parenting was supposed to be, although you don't always get to get along all the time, but parenting was meant to be together. That's why you have a mother and a father. Or in some homes, a father and a father and a mother and a mother. You get what I'm saying now. It's not meant for kids to be raised in these separate homes. So you got to see some of my pain. Emotional pain, mental pain, anguish, hurt. But what I have learned is that, you know what? And what I want you to see too is that the show don't stop. The show don't stop. Or to be grammatically correct, the show doesn't stop. So you keep going on. You keep firing. You keep making yourself a better person. So that way your level of joy is so off the charts that when pain comes, it may be just a little bit easier to deal with. That's why at the end of every video I say what I say, is because while you are still here, while you still have a chance, live it to the fullest. Because we've all been through it. We've all been to funerals. We've all been, a lot of us have been hurt in different ways, physically. All of us have been hurt in some type of way, mentally and emotionally, or damaged psychologically, because this isn't an earth of just one. This is an earth of 8 billion. So, somebody's going to piss you off. Somebody's not going to agree with what you feel like. Somebody's going to just downright not like you. And, one of the hardest parts is learning how to be okay with that. Especially if you consider yourself a quote unquote good person. You have to learn how to deal with that. I have to learn how to deal with that. Because as we all know, emotions can get raw. You ever think about when you feel good about something, and or you got a little extra money to spend, and you just feeling yourself. You just feel good, or your favorite team won, which mine didn't this weekend, neither one of them. And you feel to yourself like, hey, I got this. Like, I feel good. I feel like I could take on the world. I just got a new girl. If that's you, it's not me. But I just got a new girl. I just got a new guy or whatever. I just got a new grandchild. I just had a son. I just had a daughter. One of my mate just got a promotion. I just got a promotion. Things that make you feel good. Just like I'll share some joy with you. One thing that makes me feel good. Like, and I'm sorry if I don't point everybody out, but like when people say, hey, look, I say something to them, they say, hey, look, I'll subscribe, man. I'll check out some of your videos. So let me give them a quick shout out. Keith from over at Kids Empire. Check it out if you want to throw your kid a party. Fonte from Strawberry Mansion, an Army retiree. Talk good stuff. And then also, the homegirl that has a need for speed. Really, really good person and good people. Because, see, that's what we want to do around here is that, we want to have dialogues with good people. We want to be able to talk about good people so that way we can influence more joy in the world. That way we can influence more good times because we know eventually the bad times are going to come. So we want to be able to live in a more joyous, prosperous place. But hey, as we always do, as I always do, as you always do, before you get your drink tonight, right? Because sometimes, and most of y'all are like, man, dog, I don't even go out on no Tuesday no more. And that's fine too. But if you happen to, and if you're sitting there and you get your drink and, you know, you're thinking to yourself, what am I going to do to bring more happiness in my life? Have I done everything I can do to bring happiness in my life? Did I start that karate class or that martial arts class that I wanted to start? No, not yet. Maybe take some swimming lessons, somebody do something. But you think about it. And you think about what will bring some more significant joy into your life. And if you already got a lot of joy, I feel good for you. Because guess what? I got a lot of joy too. And I got another chance at life. And guess what else I got a chance to do? Live life. Don't let life live you.